So you're thinking of playing an Atelier game but haven't played any other game in the series. Should you start with Atelier Ryza 3? No. That's the short answer, at least. I've seen people bring this type of question up whenever talking about numbered entries in a series, and I think some are misleading others for the sake of accessibility, or just being able to play the current thing that people are talking about. Technically, you can start with any game in the series you want. Nobody is stopping you from starting with Ryza 3. But why would you? Knowing that there are 2 games that came before it that take place before the events of the 3rd game that are both good, why jump in and potentially shorten or even ruin the experience for yourself? Another thing that anyone should know before playing Ryza 3 is that the game has a ton of complicated mechanics to it that have evolved from the 1st and 2nd games, so jumping in here isn't ideal in that regard either. It throws a lot at you very early on, with much of it referencing past games, so it's better to familiarize yourself with the game's mechanics and flow of the series by playing the earlier ones first. Though these games have a chill and relaxing outward appearance, they are quite complex and can last you up to 100 hours, or even more depending on how you play them. And I don't want to set expectations before anyone plays it, but based on my experience so far, Ryza 3 might be the best game in the series. The scale and depth of this game greatly outclasses the previous 2, with tons of new features and places to explore to keep you engaged for many hours. So if you go into it here and really like it, most, if not all, of the previous Atelier games are going to feel like a step down if you decide to play them afterwards. Start with Ryza 1, that's my recommendation. If you're not getting on with the mechanics of that one because it can still be quite complex, maybe go back and try a different Atelier game such as Atelier Ryza, as that was one of the games that started this series' growing popularity. For those who are currently playing Ryza 3, I do have a few tips. First is that the skill tree really sucks. I normally don't like to look up anything and just play the game blind, but everything is obscured in the skill tree, meaning you might not go towards the upgrades you actually want. Don't feel ashamed to look up what is where, really. Or if you really don't want to, then just go by my vague recommendation of upgrading to the left and upwards first. Those will get you the most important upgrades early on, greatly improving the quality of your items. Second tip is that when you get the ability to create keys, do it as often as possible, as you can use the hollow key infinity times as long as you travel back to the Atelier to recharge its 5 uses. The game isn't very clear on what these things do, and that's fine, as you're meant to experiment with them like you do with the rest of the game's mechanics. Using them in battle, for example, kind of breaks the game, reducing your active character's wait time to 0, allowing you to spam attacks and items and trample enemies like they are nothing. You won't be able to carry many with you to use in the field or in battle, but that's less important than the ones that give you bonuses to use in alchemy, some of which will have very substantial improvements. Unfortunately, the keys you do get are randomized like a gacha system, which can be annoying, but that's why you gotta just roll with it as often as possible. The third tip is pretty simple, as it applies to the 1st and 2nd game too. Get your gathering tools, the hammer, scythe, axe, net, and fishing rod as soon as possible. Then, put everything you have into upgrading them as soon as you can, to be able to harvest level 2 ingredients, as this will get you high quality items, hidden ingredients for special equipment, and more options for your recipes that will allow you to unlock features and make better equipment more quickly. You won't be able to upgrade to level 3 harvesting until later on, but once you get the right ingredients for it, do that as soon as possible too. The last tip is that don't do what I did and min-max everything until you're too OP for the main quest. Focus on the main quest first, as it will eventually unlock new mechanics for you. Do some side quests if you think you're falling behind, specifically the blue world quests, which usually have new recipes and more interesting rewards. Anyway, that's it for this little video. Hopefully it was somewhat helpful. Atelier Ryza 3 so far is potential Game of the Year material for me, whereas previous games in the series were pretty mid by comparison. We'll see if I still have the same opinion by the time I finish it though. If that's a video you'd like to see, let me know in the comments. Share this video with someone interested in the series that's looking at this 3rd game to, steer them on the right path or something. If you're currently playing it or somehow beat it already, I hope you enjoy it as much as I am. But as always, have high standards, low expectations.